We've migrated over to the Yale for the annual Haunted Hoops scrimmage. Now in just a handful of days, the guys will head down to the Bradley Center for their first exhibition game of the season. But before that, our Todd Warner dug up some predictions from quite the credible source.
It's fall here on Marquette's campus. As the leaves change colors, so does the complexion of the Marquette basketball team. I had a chance to sit down with one of college basketball's best experts, senior writer for FoxSports.com, Jeff Goodman, and he told me despite Lazar Hayward's first-team All-Big East honors, he's going to need a lot more help when it comes to game time.
I think it's going to be tough for him to be the guy because he's not a typical, guard who can break people down and create his own shot anytime he wants. He can't do it by himself. That much is, I'm sure of. He's going to need help from Dwight Bikes and Jimmy Butler. He's come so far since the first time I saw him at Notre Dame Prep when all he could do was shoot the three. His game has come, made great strides. But again, he's not capable of doing it himself, especially in the Big East.
On Jeff Goodman's 25 players you need to know, Dwight Bikes was slated at number 23. He thinks Bikes needs to be that second scoring option for the Golden Eagles this season.
Can really score the ball. That's the biggest thing. And part of the reason why I put him on the list was because, he's got to step forward. Somebody has to. Darius is already banged up and hurt a little bit. And I just think Bikes is the most ready to come in and produce and put up big numbers right away with the loss of Jarrell and Wes and Dominique. I think somebody's got to take some of that scoring load. And to me, he's the most ready to do that. He's explosive. He's fearless. He's tough. I think he'll make an impact right away.
Darius Johnson-Odom will be slated at the point guard position this season. Maurice Acker hits the bench. He played a little point guard in JUCO, and he's going to be slated at that position during game time this season.
He's not a full-time point guard. He's a guy who can give you a few minutes. He played it in junior college last year at Hutchinson out in Kansas. So he was able to do it, but this is still a different, it's gonna be an adjustment for him because he really didn't do it in prep school and high school much. I think, both he and Bikes are really, they're kind of combo guards. I think they're better off the ball, but unfortunately with the loss of Cadogan, they're going to have to play him on the ball some.
Many thought Junior Cadogan would be Marquette's starting point guard this season, but after his Achilles injury that forced him to miss the entire season, Maurice Acker will take those duties. I wanted to know if Jeff Goodman thought Mo could play big minutes in the best conference in the country.
No, I really don't. I don't think he's good enough to carry a team in a postseason play, especially a young, inexperienced team like this. I mean, you look at what Buzz Williams has inherited, and he did have three really good players, that left last year in Lazar. Other than that, it was really a bunch of guys that, to be honest, probably shouldn't have been on a Big East roster. And Mo Acker, a good mid-major player, or even a decent backup in the Big East. But when you got to play him and play him extended minutes, that's my biggest question mark, and that's why I have Marquette, ranked down low in the Big East this year.
The Golden Eagles are picked at the lower half of the Big East, but with all this incoming talent, they might be able to surprise some people with the conference not being as strong this year. Goodman had some interesting things to say about where Marquette was slated in the preseason rankings.
The Big East certainly isn't nearly as loaded as it was. So can they surprise some people? Yeah, but I think there's certainly a ceiling on what they can do this year. And I think you're talking about a team that if they were in the top 10, they'd throw a party this year. For what they've got to deal with, not having it. Cadogan's loss really hurts because you throw him in there, and at least you're building. You're building with the young guys. You got a point guard who can make people better, a young point guard, and then Mo Acker can play his 8, 10, 12 minutes. But now Acker goes from 30, and you don't even have a true backup point guard. Plus, all the big guys are young. Tom Crean didn't exactly leave Buzz Williams with a ton of talented big guys.
Two of those big guys he was referring to were Christo Tule and Yusafa Mbao. A big challenge for Coach Buzz Williams will be translating their raw talent into quality minutes in the Big East.
I think you have to change your, somewhat of how you handle these kids. You knew what those three guys and Lazar were going to, bring to the floor. They were veterans. They have been through it. These guys aren't used to their roles. they're all going to have, much bigger roles than they were used to. So I think you got to treat it a little bit different, and that's what separates the great coaches from the average ones. How you handle these kids, how hard you get them to play. One thing I think Buzz does extremely well is he can really get up in his guys, yell and scream at them, but then after the fact he's able to put his arm around them. There's just not a lot of guys like that. I think Tom Izzo and Bill Self are two that come to mind that are really good at that, and I think that's a big part of why they've been successful.
Hopefully Buzz Williams' coaching philosophy can translate into success this season for the Golden Eagles. We'd like to thank Jeff Goodman for coming on our show this week. You can check out all his articles at foxsports.com. Reporting from Marquette's campus, Todd Warner, MUTV Sports.
Haunted Hoops night here at the Al McGuire Center. All the Halloween costumes are out. Of course, the best one's got to be the Golden Eagle, right? Are you on Twitter, by the way? Everybody's on Twitter. Here is our tweet of the week.
On Friday, MU Athletics tweeted, "Thanks to all who joined us tonight for Haunted Hoops. Countdown to opener, 2 weeks." Be sure to follow us at Twitter at MUTV Sports for all of our Golden Eagle athletic recaps, opinions, and interviews. This week's Golden Eagle Spotlight interview features the newest member of the Marquette coaching staff, Bart Lundy.
Welcome into the Golden Eagle Spotlight interview. This week we've got Director of Basketball Operations, Bart Lundy, here with us. Thanks for being here with us.
Thanks, Brad. My pleasure.
Well, looking at the season here, obviously, we've got a lot to look forward to, but I want to know what it was like when your phone rang and it's Buzz Williams on the other line. What was that conversation like?
It was good. Buzz and I have known each other for a long time, not well, and wouldn't say we were good friends or anything, but have mutual friends. And that first conversation was along the lines of Buzz talking for about 20 minutes about what he was looking for, and me saying, yeah. And I think he needed a former head coach. And he wanted somebody that liked sweet tea, so we had that all covered.
He's all about the sweet tea, I know.
He does love the sweet tea.
Well, you've been around these great group of players here.
Yeah.
You had a lot of tremendous success at High Point University, 11 years of head coaching experience overall.
Yeah.
You've been around some special players, and especially this Big East group here now of players. What's it been like being around guys like Lazar Hayward and Jimmy Butler so far?
It's been great. The thing about this team, not only do we have some good players, but the character, the spirit, is just phenomenal. It's hard to imagine a team full of absolutely wonderful guys. It rarely happens that way, and whether it was a magical formula here or not, but whatever Coach Williams and those guys did to recruit these guys, they got unbelievable character, great work ethic, and they're fun to be around, they're fun to root for.
It's something Coach Williams talks about all the time is character, and it seems like he has assembled that group that you talked about. I mean, yourself included, the staff seems to be just, very involved with being good people rather than just being good basketball people. Is that something that makes it easy to wake up in the morning and say, I love to go to work with Marquette basketball?
It does, and I think you've kind of hit the nail on the head. He's put together a great group of players, staff, the office staff. Everybody there is there for a common goal, and they're fun to be around. We work our tails off, but we have a good time doing it, and you know that you're surrounded by excellent people.
A lot of people saw those players compete for the first time. You've been with them for a while, and you've got a glimpse of what they can bring to the table.
Right.
Of the newcomers, are there any of those guys that you've jumped on and said, hey, this guy's pretty special, he's pretty good on the court, and he can take over a Big East game?
Well, I think as we go through this, what we think we know right now will change in late November, and it'll change again in January, and by the end you'll have a clearer picture. I think Jerron Mayman has had a fantastic start of practice. Unfortunately, Junior is out with that injury. But all those guys are going to be major contributors, and with our depth, we need them to be. But I think I would be hesitant to say, hey, J May's going to be a Big East beast at this point, because you don't know. Kids get it sometimes quicker, and freshmen go up and down, and fans will have to be a little patient with those young guys, and at times they'll go, wow, those guys are fantastic, and at times they'll go, wow, what was he thinking? But that's part of being young. It
is for sure, and we're going to look forward to watching Marquette basketball season, and you on the sidelines as well. Yeah. Coach, thanks so much for being here with us on the Golden Eagle Spotlight.
My pleasure.
We appreciate it. That's going to do it for us here at the Al in this edition of Marquette Basketball Weekly. Thank you so much for tuning in. To everyone who contributed to this episode, we thank you so very much, and a special thanks goes out to Bart Lundy, Jeff Goodman, and of course Todd Rosiak. You can catch this episode and all episodes of Marquette Basketball Weekly on our website at MUTVsports.com. Until next time, go Marquette. Thanks for tuning in.